Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
How are you, Mr. Mike?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good. I've been looking forward to this interview. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on. I
you.
know I know you've been very busy lately, so I appreciate your time.
Same here.
Which congratulations. I know you've been working on the beacon thing and you know what I mean. So congrats on that. That's awesome shit. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, there's
oh, what'd you say?
sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, there's some stuff from like roads that's gonna be on there, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Sometime soon.
I mean,
So
that's yeah. That's awesome. So let's get into it.
yeah.
So let's I mean tell I want to say thank you everybody for being here right now. Everybody that's either a normal or a newbie, thank you so much. Or you're just here because you love Mike. Thank you for joining us. Um, so let's just start out like at the beginning, like how you were you always into the paranormal, the normal stuff, and then we'll get into whatever else comes up.
Yeah. So the story about getting into the paranormal was interesting because I had this friend that I would go hang out with from time to time. And you know, I one night I go over and we're sitting around, we're watching movies. I live like maybe 20, 30 minutes from them, and watching movies. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and tired, and they're just like, hey, instead of going home, got an extra room, that you can go up there, sleep, go home. I'm like, all right, yeah, that sounds good because tired. So and like, do you know how now you have those times where you'll wake up and you're kind of like it takes you forever to wake up, and then you have those moments where you just wake up and you're alert, you know what's going on. And I wake up, I'm alert, look over, there's a little girl standing at the side of the bed.
That's so cool.
And yeah, it's crazy. And like by the time I'm kind of like this, and then she's gone, and it
Yeah.
kind of freaked me out. So I get
Well,
up the
I was
next
gonna say it's
morning.
cool now, but then if it was my first time, probably I'd be like,
Yeah,
"That's
yeah.
not cool."
Yeah, at the moment it was,
Not
yeah, it was
cool.
kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
So go
Yeah, I
ahead.
wake up. Yeah, no, I get up the next morning, and I guess I was acting kind of strange, but because I was kind of freaked out because of what happened, and then we're talking and stuff, and like they're like, "You're acting kind of funny. You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And then they're just like, "Did you see the little girl?" And I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me about this before?" It's like, it's like this is something you tell me when I walk in the door the first time I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they failed to tell me that. So yeah, I mean, after that happened, it's just that interest. I'm like, why did this happen? Like, what's
Interesting.
you
So
just
you
you
didn't
have all these
even
questions.
yeah. So you weren't like really into the paranormal when you had that
No,
experience. See, that's
no,
interesting. I like that. That's cool.
yeah, yeah, it was odd, and then, of course that's what sparked all the interest. I'm just like, okay, why did this happen? What happened? You get a million questions when something like that happens.
Sure.
Yeah, trying to put everything together. So, yeah, after that, I started kind of just doing some research online, and just you know, started going to some of the haunted locations, and doing things. And eventually, I started helping out at Waverly Hills. Volunteered with my sister, and then I a little bit later on, I started doing like the public and private investigations and stuff there. So got even more into it and just,
It's so
picking up
cool.
theories and stuff from other people, and
You like stumbled on the rocks of the good luck in the paranormal, right? Like
yeah,
your first
yeah,
place you help out is Waverly Hills. Like yeah.
yeah,
It's like all
yeah,
people's bucket lists. And you're like, yeah, I just, started helping out Waverly Hills. Which
yeah. And I mean, that
is
place, like,
awesome. Yeah.
it's so crazy because, I would have nights that let people out at the end of the night, go up to the fifth floor and start locking the building up, and I'm the only one in there. You'll be walking down the hallway and you just hear somebody say your name and like, you don't think about it. You just stop. And you're like, yeah. And then you're like,
Wait a
I'm the
minute.
only person in here. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
strange.
that's the thing,
Yeah.
like, when people ask you, because I get this question a lot, aren't you scared? I mean, I always say, it happens so fast that you don't have
Mhm.
time to get scared because you don't
No.
know what's happening until after it's over with. And then you're like, but it's over with. So, like,
Yeah.
so I mean, don't get me wrong, some things have startled me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but when something like that happens, you just you never get a chance to be scared because
Yeah.
it's so quick.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, it happens so fast. I mean, like, just like seeing the little girl, I no more than had time. It was like this. And because I'm just like, wait a minute. And she's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Just that fast.
And then your brain also has to go through this natural process of which I've found my brain does, but your brain goes through this natural process of trying to think of a natural cause.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, automatically you're thinking, like you said, you're like, what? Like just because it would be normal for an actual person to say your name, but then you're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, wait a minute, I'm the only one here.
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know?
And even like at Waverly, people would get up on the property all the time, try to get in the building and stuff. And there was nights I'd be walking down the hallway, and like one night, for instance, I tell this story often, so you might have heard it. I don't know, but I'm walking down the hallway to lock everything up, and off to this, I'd see somebody walk out in the doorway, and you can all you see is that shadow, but you can see how like they turn their head like they're looking at me, and then they go across the hall, and I'm just like, somebody broke in the building. So then you take off and you go down the hall and you start looking where they went through, and you're like, there's nobody in there.
There's that human natural instinct to think it's something
Yeah,
like natural, you know what I mean, or there's a
yeah,
reason, or for it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that's cool. And then you have to question, like, was it intelligent because it actually looked? You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, looked at you. I see. I've never, I've never seen an apparition. Um, so I mean, I have seen some weird stuff,
Hmm.
unexplainable things, but I've never seen an apparition, and I think it would be so cool. Did you see them
Yeah.
still, or was like the little girl the only time that you've really saw one?
Actually, there was another time at Waverly. My sister was behind me. We were going up the stairs. Like, have you been to Waverly?
No, I have not.
Yeah. Well, like when you come out of like the gift shop area, you go up, like you go through this tunnel, and then you come up onto the first floor, which is the morgue wing. But then if you do like a 180 and come back around, then there's stairs that goes up the second floor. We go up, turn around here, we get ready to go up the second floor, walk about halfway up, and there's just somebody like this, like looking down at us.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I'm like, hey, and then she's like, what? And that fast, she was gone.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, but yeah, that kind of freaked me out. I just stopped. I
that's
was like,
pretty
wait a minute,
cool. That's
do I
pretty
really
cool.
want to go up here?
Okay, so we'll talk about Waverly, but I want to get into, like, how you got associated with Rhodes Hotel, and let's talk about some of the history of Rhodes Hotel, and let's
Yeah.
talk about that good stuff.
Yeah. So, if anybody that knows Rob and Terry that owns Ashmore Estates, we're really good friends, and we both knew the previous owner of Rhodes Hotel, and he gets a hold of me, and he's just like, hey, the Gail, the previous owner, she was looking to sell the place, and he's like, what do you think about your charity owning the building? Which at that time I had a charity that helps amputee kids. And I was like, that's cool, but
Wow, that's
charity
awesome.
doesn't. Yeah, I was like, the charity doesn't have the funds, and even if we did, that's kids we could help. So I was like, cool idea, but I'm out. And he's like, that's not what I'm asking you. So I'm like, okay, I'm listening. So he's like, what do you think about a no interest loan, and then the charity buys buys the hotel, and that's money coming in for the charity and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm in. I've
Yeah,
been crazy to say no, I don't want to do that. Um,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So I did that. That was in 2017. Unfortunately, I had some health issues come up, and it was one of those things where there's so much work with a nonprofit. I was like, time to focus on my health. I'll stay in the
Yeah,
paranormal field, but nonprofits are a ton of work. So it's time to shut the charity down. And don't the bad side with that too is like the charity owning the place, it has to sell. It's got to sell to someone, or it has to go to another nonprofit. You know, sorry.
yeah.
My family, Robin's come over and helped with things over time, and we've worked on the building. We're like, we don't know who's going to take care of this place. We don't know who would get it and who would take care of it. So what are we going to do? And my sister spoke up, and she was just like, okay, so if I can buy it, I'll buy it so we can keep it. The family still has it. We work on the place, and so it could be a conflict of interest with the charity owning it. I'm running the charity. My sister's wanting to buy it. So I got a hold of a nonprofit attorney. He's like, yeah, as long as you do it exactly how I tell you to do it, won't be an issue. So, so we go through that process. We do everything how we're supposed to do it. And then April of last year, my sister takes over and she buys it. So, but nothing changed. I mean, she's still doing all the bookings because she was doing the bookings from day one. And then I was the one that was always here on the property, taking care of things. So,
That's
in the
cool.
groups and stuff that would come in. So yeah, nothing changed with that other than she owns it now.
So that's awesome. So it's kind of in the family,
Yeah.
and you work together to take care of it. And so you bought it or you acquired it as a known haunted location.
Yeah. Yep.
So what are some of the okay, so what's the history of Rhodes Hotel?
Yeah. So it was built in 1893. The husband, Newton and Clara Rhodes, bought it. And he was a traveling salesman. He was gone a lot. So she was home running the hotel. And supposedly it's when he passed away is when she was like, I want to keep the doors open to the place. And it becomes a speakeasy and a brothel.
Oh, cool.
Dillinger and Capone have supposedly been there. The
Nice.
7 years being there, Capone's name's only come up a couple times. There's no ledgers or anything like that, like left, from back then or anything. So we don't have anything to back that up. Of course, those guys, not like they came in and were like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah,
here,"
I was
John
here.
Dillinger here.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think they were I don't think they were leaving their signature on too many places.
yeah, yeah. But people that live here in town have told me almost the same story. Like, they'll stop me and they'll be like, you the guy at the hotel? Yeah. And, got stories for you. And I'm like,
Oh, that's cool.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah. So I was like, okay, like, let's hear it. What's going on? What do you have to tell me? And, at that time, like, actually, I'm like, this back here is the back side of the hotel.
oh, is it?
There's an addition that's built on, which is the room I'm in. So this door over here actually goes into the hotel. But there
Wow.
used to be steps that went up here, and there's a door upstairs, like on the back side of the building. And it's been the same story. People will be like, Dillinger would just come up through here and just go through the back door. And I'm like, that makes sense
So
because
cool.
he didn't want anybody to know he was there. So,
That's so
yeah,
cool. So I guess just like the stories being passed down, that's how everybody knows that they were there. That's cool.
yeah. And,
That's pretty
even,
cool.
yeah,
Why was
even
it all
last
bad?
year,
Why was it all bad guys, you think? Not
uh,
that Al Capone was, I mean, I guess he was a bad guy, but
yeah. They were coming in during those speakeasy brothel days. And, but, there was even a lady that came in one time. We were doing an open house, and her grandfather lived down like on Main Street, just further down the road. And she came in out of nowhere, and she's just like, my grandfather would tell me stories about Dillinger being here. And I'm like, really? I'm like, here in town? Or do you mean like here on the property? She's like, here on the property. I'm like, really? So, of course, my next question is like, can I talk to him? Can I meet him and talk to him? And she's like, well, he's already passed away. I want to get that validation from someone.
yeah, that would be cool to try to figure out.
Yeah,
Do
who
you check,
knows?
do you have a way to check like ancestry and stuff like that? Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
ancestry would have it. See, it's hard because like they were criminals.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
they stayed under the radar as much as they could,
yeah, yeah. They
So
didn't want anybody to know where they were at. But Dillinger, I really believe. There's so many people here in town that's told the same story, and Dillinger was from Mooresville, which is I don't know, like an hour and a half from here.
yeah, sure.
So not that far. So it makes sense. I could
Yeah.
see him being here.
Well, and
Who knows?
Capone is like George Washington. He's been everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And something else that's interesting. There's railroad tracks like a block over from here. Those tracks were, the train would come through, and this place was a layover for the train going back and forth to Chicago and back. So,
hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, there. I mean, yeah, that makes total sense.
yeah.
So it's really cool you're there. I'm not gonna ask, but if you are willing to walk
Mhm.
through, I'd be cool with that. But you don't have to if you don't want to.
It would
But
be kind of hard, like where I'm on crutches. It would be kind of hard, like
oh, you are.
walking through. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it would be kind of
I'm
hard to
sorry.
walk through. Yeah,
I did not know
yeah,
you were on
yeah,
crutches.
yeah. I've got
Yeah, I guess that
my
would be hard.
my right leg's amputated just above the knee. So yeah,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
So yeah, like I'd be carrying my MacBook through, and yeah, I wish I could. If I had somebody here with me, I would be like, hey, grab this, and let's roll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that would be
yeah.
cool. So, all right. So, when did you start having experiences when you guys because you guys are like, oh, are you guys always like renovating and stuff like that?
Yeah, off and on. There's been projects, and then like we're working on a fund. Like we've been doing fundraising stuff to actually do new siding on the whole side of the building
Right.
because it's in really bad shape. It's rough. It needs a lot of work. We just got insulation, so it's got it better. It's insulated and stuff now, especially the attic. That was kind of the main focus when they came in. So that's all insulated well now, and we found out the walls were already insulated, so that's a good thing.
That is good.
Um,
So, is
but
it
yeah,
all original? Like, is it all original in there, like from when it was built?
structure wise, it is like Hazel, the daughter, when she died, they auctioned everything off in the building. They took everything out and auctioned it off. And the only thing that made its way back was a couple of boxes of postcards and stuff that were actually mailed to the family. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Pretty cool. So it's a brothel, and you said it was a brothel and
a speakeasy. Yeah.
a speakeasy. Okay.
Mhm.
So when did that change?
That changed like after the Prohibition days. sat empty for a really long time, and then it became apartments at one point. I'm still not quite sure how that was set up, with the way, the rooms and stuff are, but we know that that happened, and then it was empty for a little while. It's went through multiple different owners. One owner, I think, was looking at trying to make open it up as like a bakery or something like that. Never happened. And then I think like the last few owners or so that had it realized that there was things going on here.
Oh, okay. So
So
that's what I was going to ask you, if you ever heard any stories from anybody that actually
yeah,
lived, in the house or was in the house.
yeah. In this area here, I live back here, so I'm on the property. So like, some nights there's nothing on TV, I'll just kind of wander out and sit
Yeah, why
around in the dark.
not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
watch and listen. But I mean, I hear talking at times. I hear footsteps. Like this wasn't even a week, probably about a week or so ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. I there's a front by the front door. There's like this one little chandelier type thing. Um, we had electricians come in and they were fixing some of the power outlets and stuff.
hmm,
I had them do like these switches. So like it's just little pads. You just press the pad, light comes on, off. They put one by the front door and then they put one at the top of the stairs. And the idea, for me being on crutches, was I can turn on the light, go up the stairs, get up there, turn it back off, and then when I'm done, kick it back on, come down, turn it off. I'm sitting back here watching TV one night and the light comes on. um, Catching on the camera, light comes on 15, 20 seconds or so, and then goes right back out. So I'm like, okay, why did that happen? So I go outside, there like into the hotel, and I go into like the dining room, turn the light on. I go up the front, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, So go back to the dining room. I turn the light out, and when I do, I turn, and there's two parlor rooms right there, and like you can see, there's a big picture window to where you can see out on the street, and there's like
right.
street lights out there. But I go kick the light out, turn, take a few steps, and I look over, and I can see a dark shadow. I can see somebody standing on the other side of one of the big tables in there. Just you can see they're just standing there, and
Right.
then I don't know, a couple seconds or so, then they're gone, and I'm just
Right.
like, all right, have a good night. see,
You say
see you
you're
later.
used to it now, right? Like you feel comfortable there. You're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'm comfortable here. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So I don't know if I could ever get used to it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I wouldn't be afraid, but I don't know if I'd
yeah.
ever be able to get used to it.
One of the comparisons that I use, you know how you move into like, you move somewhere else, you buy a house, and the neighbor's dog is, barking a lot. And
Yeah.
then after, how after like a month or two, you kind of tune it out, you don't pay any attention to it, and you don't even realize the dog's barking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like that here. You're like, you get in, you get used to it, and you just like, friends will
So
come over.
have you been able to any of the claims or any of the evidence, EVPs or anything like this ever correlate with any of the history or any of the people that were there?
Yeah, something like with the history, one thing like I do want to mention this because this is something that we found out. Like for all these years, there's been all these rumors and stuff about a preacher that stayed here that hung himself in the attic.
Hmm.
Late last year, we actually found documentation that showed that he was there, like here. I don't know why I said there. I'm here. He was here, and we found him on the census records. He was boarding here,
Hmm.
but we found his death certificate too, and he died in Washington State in
Wow.
1967.
Wow. So
So
you wonder
this
how
didn't
that,
happen.
yeah. So that's interesting. And I love that you have put that out there because a lot of people wouldn't.
we
you
think
know,
it's important. I mean, it's
very important.
something that, yeah, I mean, it's just part of the history. I mean, that's something that didn't happen. So, it's important to put
Right.
it out there. We know, I mean, regardless, knowing that we debunked that,
I mean, it's
there's
very
activity going on here still. So,
right,
so yeah.
right. But no,
Um,
I think that's what I'm saying is that's very that's very stand up, like I respect that very much because a lot of people, especially in the paranormal field, right? Like so you would probably just some people would just let that go because that
yeah,
kind of entices paranormal activity to people
yeah,
and would want them to like book somewhere, right? Like, oh, a preacher hung himself in the attic. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like
yeah,
an attraction, right, for people.
yeah,
So,
yep,
in a weird way, that's the attraction. So for you to come out and say false,
yeah.
I love that. So, Kim is asking what state.
Indiana. Yep, just
Yeah.
a little bit
So if
northeast of
the peaches,
Indianapolis.
so if the peaches go out to Indiana, we would have to visit. We would have to make it a little. We would have to do like a paranormal trip out there because there's a couple places out there that I'd love to visit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
There you go.
so yeah, we could make a peaches Indiana road trip.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
know, Notre Dame. I don't know. She's asking Notre Dame. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if there's any paranormal stuff. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, it
So
probably is, and who knows? But
so groups can come and can they stay at the hotel or is it just what?
yeah,
So you sleep
yep,
overnight.
yep. You can stay overnight. There's 8 beds upstairs. There's 2 bathrooms upstairs. There's a bathroom downstairs here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's a kitchen. There's access to stove, oven, access to refrigerator, freezer. So yeah, bring your snacks in, and yeah, sometimes
Fantastic.
people will just rent the place for the whole weekend.
Yeah, no, that's what we do. I mean, like, that's what we do. We love that.
Yeah,
Um and how far, like, is it mostly weekends? Do you do weekdays too?
yeah, yep. You can book anytime. Yep, year round too. I mean, yeah, we have the cold months. You know how a lot of places usually shut down. We've got heat, so yeah. There's a gas furnace downstairs here, and then upstairs there's baseboard heaters in all the rooms and the hallway, everything. So everything's heated.
Do you guys do stuff during Halloween season?
Yeah, usually it stays pretty busy. When October rolls around, everybody starts, yeah, really starts booking.
You should do
It's
like a haunted
usually,
attraction there.
yeah, well,
Or
like,
like do like a haunted house walkthrough or something. You know what I mean? Like that would be cool.
yeah. Well, it stays so busy. Like,
Yeah,
around Halloween, people just rent it out doing paranormal investigations. Like, most of the time, Halloween, it's booked.
that's cool.
I think the 7 years I've been here, I think there might have been like maybe 1 year, maybe that there wasn't anything going on Halloween.
That's cool. That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, most people want to be somewhere like that. Uh,
Yeah.
for me, the closest is Gettysburg. I would love to be in
Oh,
Gettysburg during Halloween. Would be really awesome. Um,
yeah, that would be cool.
so, all right. So let's get back to the hotel.
Yeah.
So, your sister ever or other family members ever come and then they have experiences? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you are having the most experiences because you live there.
Yeah. Being here all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I always think, I mean, you watch like the 28 Days Haunted and stuff like that, where they're like in the one location for just 28 days, and how the activity increases. Like
Yeah.
I mean, is anything familiar to you? Like,
Um,
we get the same, you know what I mean? Like, you get like it's
yeah.
the same person or the same, or is it residual? Like,
There's both. We know that there's some residual stuff going on here, just from things that other people. There's one of the guys that works for the sheriff's department was patrolling through here and saw a lady up in the window upstairs, and he avoided the place for like months.
I love those
Um,
stories.
Yeah, there was a cafe used to be down the street that would be open on the weekends, and they did like like I don't know, I think it was like coffee with cops or something. You know what I mean, something like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna go down, introduce myself that way, and just in case we needed somebody here for something, then they kind of know, that I'm here, and I kind of know them or something just from meeting them. And I go down one morning when they do that, and I'm talking to one of the police officers, and he's just like, "So you live here in town, then, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Familiar with Rhodes Hotel?" And he's like, "Oh, I can't remember the officer's name, but he's like, oh yeah, that so and so would love that." He's like, "Let me go get it, let me get him over." So then he gets him to come over, and like, he's like, "Hey, you want to go down and check this guy's house out?" Like, he says something along those lines. He's like, "What? Why? What? And he's like, "Oh, he lives at Rhodes Hotel." And he's like, "No, I'm good." And he walked off. And then the officer, the other one was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, he drove by one time and he saw, a lady standing in the window, and
And it was vacant.
yeah, he avoided the place for like months, I guess." But other
Cool.
people have said the same thing. They've seen this lady, so I think it's probably something residual with that. But I
Mhm.
mean, there's intelligent stuff going on as well. I mean, we get intelligent responses. Uh, lights off and on, doors open and close. I went up. This is in the beginning. Like, I swore I even lived on the property, but I was here one night for a group, and then I go back home. I come back the next morning. Actually, like, I made sure all the rooms were okay. Lights off, doors are open, opened up
Sure.
and stuff. Go back home. I come back the next morning, and I go in, and all the doors are closed upstairs. So then I'd like start opening all the doors up, and then, come back around, and I'd get back to the stairs and get ready to go back down. And when I go back down, like, one of the doors slammed. I'm like, "All right, if you want to leave it closed, no problem. I just keep going, go downstairs."
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's cool. That's a cool
it's
story.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting at times.
That's kind of stuff I love. Like that's the kind of stuff I love happening. Like I love that kind of stuff, and I love when I least expect hearing a disembodied voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some days and nights both. I mean, it's more active during the day than it is at night, but I'll go out sometimes and just sit and watch and listen, and I will hear conversations. It's usually muffled, but I can hear talking, and then I'll look outside, and I'm like, it's not coming from outside, and I can tell it's coming from inside the building.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, I try to, I can't, like I said, most of the
So
time you can't tell what's being said.
does it ever sound like the same conversation or the same people talking when you hear it?
It does sound like the same people at times,
Yeah,
but different conversations.
that's cool.
Um, yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, being here so long, I try to figure out, like, hey, what happens more frequent, and like, are there certain times, or there certain things like in certain areas that might happen more often? Because just like what we were just saying, I mean, trying to figure out what's residual and what's intelligent that's going on,
Right.
to get a better idea. But there's just so many stories. Even back here, like I said, this is the back door that goes outside the building, and now it's an addition built on. So I mean,
Right, right,
back
right.
then you'd be walking outside.
Originally, you'd be outside.
Yeah, I had a friend that didn't have a headset. We're playing PlayStation, and he's like, "Hey, let's get online and play." And it's like, "Well, how are we going to do this?" So we call each other and use our phones. We have our phones on speakerphone,
Mhm.
and so that way we can talk while we're playing the games and stuff, since they didn't have a headset. So that day I got like a package or something. Somebody comes up and they're knocking on the side door, so I have to go in the building around the side. So I'm like, "Hang on a minute, I'll be right back." And I come back, and they're like, "Are you? I thought you were by yourself." And I'm like, "I am." And they're like, "Well, I heard a lady talking." And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, yeah, I could hear a lady talking in here. And I'm like, no. I was like, the person that showed up to the door was a guy. Is like,
Oh,
there's nobody here. I'm the only person here. And they're like,
oh, that's cool.
I heard a woman's voice. And I'm like, well, you know the history of the place. So yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so do you have cameras set up, like
We
security
do.
cameras,
Yeah. Yeah. We do have security cameras. Yeah.
inside and out, or just inside?
Both. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We
cool.
have, yeah. Yeah. There's some outside
So, do
and
you
we
ever
have
catch
some inside.
anything on the cameras?
Lights going off and on. We
Does
have
the
a few
audio
times.
ever pick up?
Um, yeah, I mean, we got audio, but like we've caught some stuff like audio wise. You know, Chad Lindbergh. Um,
Um, I'm
he
not
did.
sure.
Yeah, he did. Oh God, what was? Oh, I forgot the name now. He did a show on Destination America. Um, I can't remember. Him and John Tenney did a show. Like, yeah, but yeah, Chad was here one time, and actually Grant Wilson was here too. We were doing an event, and I was telling them like right after being up here, like right after we took over, um, well, I was upstairs one night with a public investigation, and I'm sitting at the top of the stairs. Like the top of the stairs are like right over here, and my crutches are leaned up on the wall, like right behind me, and something caught my attention. Like there's people sitting in front of me, there's somebody beside me, and then I kind of glance over, and because I heard something like over in like this front foyer area, I turn my head back, and then like my crutches are like this. They're like somebody pushed them over, and like the people in front of me are like it looked like somebody just pushed them, and then they just started to fall over.
Oh wow.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, I told Grant and Chad about that because you know, I've known those guys for a long time, and when we did the event, Chad kept taking one of the crutches, and you know he'd take one and he'd be like, "Hey, you know, I leaned it up like over here, whatever. Can you knock it over?" And all this stuff after telling him what happened. And then at one point, he goes upstairs, and I'm thinking he put it up at the top of the stairs, like where this originally happened, but he ended up going up halfway up the stairs. And Grant was like, "Why don't you ask some questions? Because you're here all the time."
Right, right.
I'm like, okay. I was like, hey, Chad, like, where did you take the crutch? And, you know, he's like, oh, I went halfway up the stairs, leaned it into the wall. It had been there for, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes maybe. And I was just like, whoever knocked the crutch over a while back, can you do it again? And it's like complete silence. Everybody's in the dining room, like sitting there, and you just hear a thump. And then Chad just takes off running and, you know,
Uh,
goes toward the front, and the crutches on the ground at, you know, at the bottom of the stairs.
wow.
So that was pretty cool. And we didn't
That's
actually
cool.
like at that time, of course, at that time, I didn't have a camera like watching the stairs, but I had one in the dining room that it would set off from motion, and it did catch like the camera did catch me asking that question in all that silence, and you can hear
You can
the
hear it.
crutch
Yeah.
drop, and
That's
then
all
you see Chad.
See, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's like awesome shit. I mean, like, you should compile like a little compilation of stuff that's happened there and just put it all into one little cute
Hmm.
video so people can just because that's like I love that stuff, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so all right, I had so many questions. Well, here's a question. Kim asked us. Now that are you still friends with Nick Groff? Has he come and
Yeah.
done an investigation or show there yet?
Not yet. I am good friends with Nick, but he has not been here yet. We tried to make it happen once. You know, he's doing Death Walker now, and we tried to make it work, but the time frame he was coming through, we just weren't able to make it work because we already had people here, so and booked and stuff. But you know, there's been talks. He wants to be here. One of these days we'll make it work.
So, has anybody been there that nothing's ever happened? or is it usually pretty active for the most part for everybody?
For the most part, there's times that people have come in and said that it's been on the quiet side, but yeah, there
I mean, that
was
can
one
happen
time.
anywhere though.
Yeah, I mean, one night there was a group here, and they were here for a full night, and like they were getting ready to leave, like in the middle of the night. They called me up and they're like, I think we're going to leave, and I'm like, why? And they're like, well, it seems kind of quiet, we were getting activity, and then it just quieted down, and I was
Why
like,
would you
why would
leave
you
it?
want to? Yeah, I was like, why would you want to leave? And they're like, well, because it got quiet, and I'm like, but yeah, but I mean, just because you think it's quiet doesn't necessarily mean it is quiet.
Well,
Because
not only
if you're
that,
running yeah, if you're running, audio recorders, you're running your video stuff, like just because you're not having personal experiences doesn't mean it's quiet.
not only that, but
Um,
you're like in a historic building, and
yeah,
like an old historic, and you know what I mean? Like enjoy the moment, like living it. Because I'll tell you
yeah,
what, my girls know I leave my recorder on all the time, even when we go
yeah,
to bed, even when we go to
yeah.
sleep, my recorders are on.
And
Um,
that's great here. That's the thing to do here.
yeah, I
But
mean that's
but
what I
yeah, I
told them.
mean, but yeah, they end up staying, because like I said that to them, and plus I was like, even if it did quieten down, who's to say that it's not going to start right back up at some point and you're going to get activity again,
Yeah,
like leave your cameras and recorders going the rest of the night, and if you're tired, go to bed and leave everything running, and then get up and go home in the morning. And they're like, all right, yeah, good point. So
yeah,
yeah, I was like, I'd stay.
that's nice of you. Say you cared about why they were leaving. You know what I mean? That says a
Yeah.
lot too. Um, what would you say would be like the strangest thing that's happened there?
For me, there was a group here, and at that time, the side door, there was a video camera that kind of angled out, and you could see, like, if somebody parked right by the side door, you could see him, but if they parked further down, you couldn't. You really couldn't see the vehicle. But they parked further down. They're in the building, and one of the ladies has her key fob like in the side pocket of her backpack,
Mm.
and so at one point they're asking questions. I don't even remember what the questions were, but her car alarm starts going off, and she grabs the key fob. She turns it back off, puts it back inside of her backpack. Goes off again. So then she goes back. She does this like 2 or 3 times. Like, I mean, this happens
Mhm.
multiple times. Finally, she's just like, I'm putting it on the table. So she sits the key fob on the table and stuff, keeps going off. So then they go outside and they're like, okay, somebody messing with the car. So they go outside and they're walking around, they're looking at it. Nothing. There's nobody around it or anything like that. So then they come back in. She grabs her phone and she looks at her phone, and she had like 5 or 6 notifications saying rear occupancy detected
Really?
in her car. Yeah. So like, yeah. So then, they go back outside. They look. There's
Wow,
nothing.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, I try to think logically at first. I'm like, okay, did something fall off the back into the seat, and then this triggered a sensor, and then you get the notification, something like that. But of course, that'd have to be a number of things to fall down, right? I mean, to keep triggering that to going off and saying rear occupancy detected. They go out, they look, there's nothing in there. And again, thinking
That's
logically,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, I don't
Well,
know, it was weird.
before you said the phone part, I'm like, well, maybe the battery was dying, right? Like in my head, I'm
Yeah,
thinking maybe the battery was dying on the thing. But then when you said the phone part, where it said
yeah,
what it's picking up,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was, I don't know. I mean, in like, again, the logical side of me, I was asking her, I was like, hey, next call the dealership and ask them if there's like been any recall on like the sensors or
yeah,
anything that would trigger it to set it off like that. But then, she's like, oh, well, I've had this car for a year and it only happened like one time, but it did go off one other time. And I'm like, oh, it did? And she's like, yeah, but she's like, I was at home. had the dog in the back seat, and I forgot something, ran back in really quick, and then come back out, and the dog triggered it. I'm like, well, that makes sense, you know.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, the dog was in the car.
yeah, but I mean, it was really weird. I don't know.
That is weird. So are there
Yeah,
known is there the property then? Like is the property known to have like the outside also have activity?
I've had things happen over time. I've never heard like really any stories outside that I've heard, but I've had a few experiences
Well, you
outside. I
live
didn't.
there, right? Because you're there all
Yeah,
the time. So of
yeah,
course, your chances of experience something.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, nothing. You know, I mean, most of the family members died here, and we found out a few other things too, like Newton, the guy that originally owned it, like him and his wife. We found documentation showing that his brother, one of his brothers, they actually did his like, well, all of them like they did like the viewings and stuff when they passed away, but one of
Well, they
his
did that in
brothers,
the house too.
yeah,
See, this is the
yep.
history I want. This is what I want to know
Mhm,
the history. I want to hear this
mhm.
history.
Yeah, and then but one of the brothers we found out like from the obituary that they actually had his funeral here. Like they not only the viewing, they actually did the funeral here.
Oh wow.
Um,
So is there any like do you know of any burials on the property?
Not on the property that I know of. The family members are buried. I don't know. You could probably be there in like 5 to 10 minutes. Not very far away.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, so
yeah,
so you have a good source of history for the people that were there. That's good.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yep,
So all the family members passed away?
yeah. And then we even had the rumor that his mother had passed here, but we were trying to find out if that was something definite too. But one of the obituaries from his other brother, it even mentioned like the fact that she died here as well. So that she suddenly died here at the home of Newton Rhodes, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess that puts that to rest that she did in fact die here. And then the son, he passed in 1909. He had tuberculosis. You know, back then they didn't know what to do. I mean, so
Right.
they quarantined him, put him in a room by himself, thinking, let's let him rest, give him medicine, whatever, and hopefully he'll get better. And he didn't. He died. So
Wow, that's cool. So there's a lot of meaty history there.
yeah,
Any known like maybe Native American, anything like that in
nothing
that
that I've
area?
heard. Yeah, I mean, I know they were in the area, but I've not heard anything like here, maybe that that's happened or anything. I know in the area that yeah, there's history. So, but I don't know to what extent, and I don't, to my knowledge, not been anything like right here. So,
Hmm. What would you say has been, I don't want to say scariest.
mhm.
Um, we did the strangest, and that was a good strange.
Yeah, that was
That
strange
was
for
a good
sure.
one. That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what would you say would be all right, scariest or something that you know, made you like maybe not want to stay there or not want to be there at that moment?
Um, I mean, it takes a lot to freak me out. I need to be
Yeah,
startled is my big thing. I've not really had anything here that's really scared me or anything. I mean, I've had things that's freaked me out in other locations.
hmm
Um, but I mean, here, yeah, like I said, my biggest thing is just being startled. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that's
well, that's
really
good.
like scared me or anything here.
Then I'm definitely in. Wait a minute,
Yeah,
is it surrounded by woods?
no, No,
Okay,
no,
good.
yeah,
Then I'm in.
yeah,
I'm in. Okay, I'm
yeah,
in.
yeah. We're right on the corner of like the two main streets in the town. Of course, tiny town. I think the population's like 700 and something.
All right, cool.
So
So I'm in. If as long as it's not like, because you think Indiana, and then I automatically think like, deep in the
yeah,
woods somewhere all by
woods,
itself,
cornfields, and all that. Yeah,
wrong turn people, and I'm not about it. Like I can't do it. Is there a basement?
no basement now.
Is there an attic?
There is an attic. Right at the moment, it's off limits because we're trying to work on that. So that's another project that my sister wants to work on, and yeah. So
Now, does your
hopefully,
sister live nearby too?
she's about an hour away.
Is she okay?
Yes, yeah, not too far.
And she's
But
had experiences there.
yeah, yeah, she's had experiences. My mom, she's had some experiences here. There's a little girl here that we don't know who she is, and my mom, she's seen her, she's heard her. I've I've actually, excuse me, I've actually heard her. I've been here and been in the building, and I've heard her like giggle and stuff like that. So
That's cute. Actually,
yeah,
I don't. No, I think I don't even know. I don't know if how I would feel about that. But now is the rest of your family into the paranormal, or they're just like, yeah, this stuff happens?
my sister is, my parents not so much, but when my mom's here, she's more so like, yeah, she'll be upstairs or something and come back down and be like, I just heard this or I saw that or something. I'm like, yeah, not surprised. It makes sense because other people have too.
That's so
So
cool. I
yeah.
think I think we're gonna have to make a trip out of it now. So how like what are the rules for Rose Hotel? Like if I just was inquiring to come and say we were going to spend the weekend there, Friday to Sunday, what would be, or Friday to Monday, like what would be the do's and the don'ts?
You know, the main things we want people to have a good time, but I mean, just be respectful of the place and you know, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing is just being respectful of the place. It's because I mean, we had in the past like there was a corset up in one of the rooms. It wasn't original, but kind of going back to the brothel days, and but it had been there like all these years. Like I said, I've been here for 7 years, and this is probably about a year ago. It disappeared. Somebody took it.
See, I
I,
wouldn't do that shit because
yeah,
I'm superstitious. I would be like bad juju, right? It's just like even
yeah,
walking into places. Like I don't know. I'm like, or taking stuff from somewhere like that. Like
yeah.
it's just why? It's a
Yeah,
shame because now
it
that
is.
gives you a worry, right? And it's like you shouldn't have to worry. Like
Yeah,
most paranormal investigators, whether we like each other or we don't like each other, but most paranormal investigators are respectful of the places that they go.
yeah, yeah.
So it sucks that one idiot, and
Yeah,
there's people out there that know that occurred.
yeah. And I even went on social media and I was like, you know what? I know somebody took it. I don't care who took it. It's like if you stick it in a box, send it back here. No return address. Where I don't have to know who sent it. I was like, we just want it back. That's all we care about. Like send it back, and it never showed up. I was like, we'll just call it evens. Like, we'll just call it quits and just be like, hey, if you send it back, all's good.
That
No
sucks that
problem. I
you
don't have to
couldn't
know
like,
who it is.
it sucks that you couldn't like go back and like see who was there and like the last time you know what I mean? But then it's
Yeah,
like,
there's no camera like in that room, so
yeah.
yeah. So they were just, my guess they took it, stuck it in their jacket, stuck it in a bag, whatever, and just walked right out with it without us knowing.
And why would you take that?
Yeah,
I don't know. Why
yeah,
would you take anything? But like
exactly.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sorry that happened to you.
and so of course, you're more cautious about things now, but
Yeah.
like I said, that's the biggest thing. We don't allow alcohol, drugs, and just ask people be respectful of the building, and that's the biggest things, really. Um,
Right.
Yeah. So, I
So,
mean,
the cameras though, do people have the option to be able to keep the footage going and stuff like that if they wanted to like record them being there?
they set off by motion. I mean, if we we catch something that, something comes up on there, they're in the area that something happens or something, and we've got that footage. Yeah, we're more than happy to let them check it out
That's
and
cool.
give them a copy of it. However,
Um, Somebody said big believer in karma. Crystal,
yeah, me too.
I know that's what I'm saying. Bad juju. Nope. I don't mess with stuff
Yeah,
like that. Don't mess with
yep,
it. Carmen had a question also. Have you found anything hidden in the walls while renovating?
yes.
That's
We actually, and it came from this room. Robin was here. My family was here. My sister, Robin, hands my sister,
good question.
um, hands her a hammer and says, "Start taking the drywall out." And she goes over to a spot right over here. There's an air conditioner close to that area now, but she just, starts popping holes in there, and so we can replace the drywall. And she's like, "I think there's something back there." Robin goes over and pulling everything away, and there's like this glass looking cross. It's probably about that tall, and it's hanging on a nail. Um,
Wow.
it's still in there. Like we covered it back up. It's covered now with drywall, but
Did you like consult Zaffis on this?
no, no, no. It's
Like
I,
that's kind of weird.
I didn't want to like,
Why
yeah,
isn't
I
this
just,
the strangest thing you ever happened?
well, I mean, I don't, the thing is, like, we left it there because, like, my thing, two things to that. First thing is, I'm like, who am I to remove it for whatever reason somebody put it there? Who am I to remove it? So I should leave it there, right?
Right.
But the other thing is, like, what if we remove that? What if something crazy starts happening? Then
Or what if all the activity stops? Because
yeah,
we'll
that
be
could
all
be
the
it
way
too.
through.
I was thinking more of like, what if like really crazy stuff starts happening if we take it out of there and and
Interesting.
not put
Did
it
you
back.
like at least like take it off and like look at it and stuff and see if anything was like written on it or
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything written on it. I got pictures of it.
that's
Yeah,
so
we took pictures of it and stuff, but yeah, it was just hanging on a nail.
no, you should do. You should cut like a hole in the wall, put like a piece of glass just so you can.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, of course, it's back here in my area, so nobody
Yeah,
would see it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
that's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah,
Kathy says, I'm wondering why it was hanging there. Yeah.
yeah, that was my wonders too. It's like,
But I love that you
why?
just like patched it back up and you like know it's there, but
Yeah, yeah. Good luck. To, like long after we're all gone, and like somebody comes in, like owns a place, and be like, let's do some
let's put a
remodeling, and
mess
then
of
they come
all
out
up.
and they're like, they'll be like, well, those guys
Could
were,
you
what was
imagine
going
if
on with them?
right, like if we found something like that in like Pompeii now, like there was like something behind the wall, like oh, what
Yeah,
kind of stuff was going on with this?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that hopefully long after we're gone, somebody like tears this wall open, and, let's do
Find
some
it.
remodeling, and it'll be like, what? Yeah.
Mike is like, nothing to see here. Let's call it a day, cover it up.
Yep.
Somebody else is like,
Yeah.
call a priest. We need somebody in here to find out what the heck this is about.
Yep.
I'm just gonna cover it back up like I never saw it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was just like, who am I to remove it? But then a little tiny bit in the back of my head, I'm just like, what if we do remove that and then crazy stuff was to start happening, like, yeah. So I was like, nah, let's leave it.
One last question. Well, for me anyway, but like how much, if you don't mind me, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but how much is the charge for like a Friday to Monday or a Saturday or an overnight or do you also offer just like a 7 o'clock to like 2 o'clock type of a thing?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah, so you can do for up to 10 people, it's 350, and that'll be the regular investigation from 7 p.m. until 2 a.m.
Mhm.
Or you can do a full overnight, which is 7 p.m. until 10 a.m. the next morning. That is 500 for up to 10 people.
Okay.
If you do multiple nights, like sometimes people will say, "Hey, we're going to do a Friday and a Saturday night." When they do those, then of course, like with that, we just charge them for the overnight. So it'd be 1,000. You get the daytime is just it's just thrown in. We're not gonna
Yeah.
like make people leave at 10 a.m. Saturday morning and be like, well, we'll see you, 7 p.m. Saturday to come back for night two.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so I mean they get that. So we don't charge for the daytime with that. So they just pay for those 2 nights, and they have the daytime like free. So
That's awesome. Now, do you
yeah.
have stuff? Do you have stuff? In the house about the history and stuff.
Not so much. I mean, like I show, like when I'm here, I show people around,
Yeah.
tell them
Yeah.
because what I've learned over time here is sometimes people come in, you get psychic mediums come in, they don't want to know anything about the place, or
Right. Right.
sometimes groups just don't want to be influenced and stuff, and just they come in. So we don't put too much out there for people to just walk up and just read, just mainly for those reasons because you come in and you're like, I don't want to be influenced with anything, and you walk around the corner, it's like, here's all this history about this room or
Right.
something. They're like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I hope I get to make it out to Indiana. There's a few places out there. I've had a couple people on, and it sounds like such a cool little. I say road trip, but I'd have to fly out there. I think I think I googled and I think I'm like 15 hours from Indiana. I don't even know.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit of a trip. Yeah. Now I see
I
why
think
you're like,
so.
oh, it'd have to be like a weekend thing or something.
Right, like wait, or maybe that's Kansas because I looked up. Stephanie O'Reilly, the McIntyre
Yeah.
Vaughn.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I that's a bucket list for me. Like, so I was like, if I ever make out, like, all right, how far is Indiana? How far is in Kansas from Indiana? Because I'm thinking you guys are like all in the same area. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm geographically not good at all. But I don't know. I do want to make it out there. Have
Yeah.
it'll be cool.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's a cool place. I mean, I'm not saying it just because I'm here, but I mean, I was aware of the place before we even took over with it and stuff. And yeah, it can be interesting.
oh, look, this must be Darren because that's not me. Mike, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was a
Thanks
pleasure.
for having me.
I really, really hope everybody can go check out the Rhodes Hotel. Now, is there a Facebook page or like
Yeah.
a website?
Yeah, you can just search Rhodes Hotel on Facebook and actually about all the social media. And then you can also go to rhodeshotel.com. So,
Cool.
yeah. And real
Awesome.
quick, thank all you guys for coming in and being here. Like, even though I haven't said much, like, hi to everybody, and I've been seeing like
Yeah.
the messages pop up on there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just want
Thank
everybody to
you.
know that I have been seeing those, and yeah, I wanted to say hi to
Well,
everybody and thanks for tuning in.
I know this is crazy, but let me just ask one more question. I know we're saying
Mhm.
goodbye. Outside of we've talked about Waverly and outside of Rhodes Hotel, what's your favorite location?
Oh man, I don't know if I could pick a favorite. I mean, there's a lot of places I want to go to that I haven't been, and there's a lot of cool places that I've been to. Obviously, Waverly's ranks way up there. Just spending so much time. Stanley Hotel is awesome.
I've
Um,
never been to Stanley Hotel. I want to go so
it's
bad.
really cool. I mean, I don't know if I could pick a favorite really.
Yeah,
That would be
I know
too. That
that's a
would
tough
be too
question.
hard. That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you just the ones you go to, you have those little things that you remember from each location, that kind of makes them stand out. So yeah, I don't know, I could pick a favorite.
But what about a location that either you've been back to? or you want to go back to, one of the do you have a brother? All right, Darren's asking, do you have a brother that is in the PBA bowling tour?
No, 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 I don't. Mm-mm. No.
Do you have a location that you want to go back to?
Go back to all of them. I don't know. I know there's places I want to go to that I haven't been to. I really want to go to like Lizzie Borden House. Um, that one's like I really want to go there. I'd like to go to Eastern State Penitentiary. I'd like to go there. I'd like to go to Trans Allegheny. There's a lot of places I want to go to that I haven't been there yet. Um, but
Yeah.
what was that?
He said, I haven't committed until the end just because I was engaged in listening to the podcast. Oh, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, all of them really. I mean, that I'd like to go back to because you have those different things. I mean, it kind of stands out. I mean, I haven't been back to Waverly in a while. I'd like to go back to Stanley. I haven't been there in a while.
Stanley's not doing paranormal stuff anymore, right?
No, they haven't been doing much like for years now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of
quite
a
a
bummer.
while.
But I guess you
Yeah,
can still go there and just kind of do your
yeah,
own thing, really,
yeah,
respectfully.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
all right, Mike. I've had you now for over an hour, so I will let you go. But this, I could literally talk to you forever about it because it's so. I mean, I love
Yeah, I
hearing.
get to talking. I'm just like, I'll just keep on rambling.
And then people are so. Is there a place that you feel like the investigation was left unfinished?
I would like to go back to Duff Green Mansion in Mississippi. Because when I was there, I didn't get a lot of time, and there was a few things that happened that I would like. You know what I mean? I would definitely like to go back there to just be able to actually do it, like have a full night to where there's just I can just kind of do my own thing like the entire night, and just really investigate because there were things there that happened. I mean, like, there was an EVP because this during the Civil War, they used it as a hospital, and they did amputations and stuff. So the reason I went was, me being an amputee to see if there was something that I might be able to get that
Yeah.
somebody else couldn't. And one of the EVPs, we think said my left leg. So I'd like to go back and try to do that, and not to mention have more time to be able to see if I can get any intelligent responses because I can relate to, the amputation side of the soldiers and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's one right off the top of my head. But yeah, I'd like to go back there for those reasons.
Yeah, Gettysburg is always going to be my pick.
Yeah, I remember being there before when I was young, but yeah, that would be cool to go back to now.
To go back, you've got to.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, I need to.
Spectacular. It's absolutely not just ghost wise, you know what I mean, but just the history. And
yeah,
I mean, it's just a fantastic little heaven on earth.
It is. Yeah, yeah. I remember it. Like I just need to go back. I just, I do. I mean, of course, I don't remember everything, but I remember. Yeah, that was cool being there, and I'd love to go back.
You this. I got this. It is very old, but it's a. You see it?
Yeah.
This is like a corduroy type, and it's like.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, and like unfortunately, like you can see the
old
nails and the other side. Wait, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
And then this is the bottom of it. It looks like it might have like a piece broke off, but
yeah,
it's pretty. It's an old crutch, and I collect I'm an antiquer, so I but I love like medical stuff, like medical and
Yeah.
bully club.
Interesting.
Yeah, but isn't this cool?
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen like the top part of the crutch
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So I think and it's like woven with like horsehair. And
Wow.
there's a stitch. Obviously, they probably had to like over time, but you know,
Yeah.
I wanted to share that with you
Interesting.
real quick.
No,
I
I
thought,
appreciate it. Yeah. No, it's cool. Cause like, yeah, when I looked at the top, I was like, wait a minute. Cause I've never seen anything like that.
yeah, yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I forget where I got that actually,
Mm,
but
pretty cool.
yeah. All right, now I really am going to let you go. I am so sorry. Everybody
No,
keeps
you're
on
fine.
people keep
You're
on popping
fine.
in. People coming
No,
in
it's all right. That's all
and
right.
popping
That's what I'm here
in,
for. Yeah.
and you know, I I really enjoyed my time. I would keep you here forever, so I'm just gonna. I have
Same
to
here.
go.
Yeah. It's fun.
There
Yeah.
you go.
No,
Maybe
I
you can come back on sometime. Maybe we can make
anytime. Yeah.
we'll have a second date, and I'll
Yeah.
bring you back
Anytime.
on. All right. Thank
Anytime.
you,
Sounds
Mike,
good.
so much. Thank you,
Yep.
everybody, for
Thank
watching
you.
and asking questions and engaging.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Jason on this comment, he said he meant to say, I haven't commented until the end because I was so engaged in listening to the conversation, us talking.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. And thank you, Mike. And good luck with everything with Beacon and all the stuff you guys are doing.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. And
Thanks.
hopefully I'll make it out there.
Yeah. Come out sometime. Yeah. It's like I said, it should be interesting here.
Awesome. You
Yeah.
have a good night, sir. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this Wednesday. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a great show. He was a sweetheart. I love him. And Rhodes Hotel sounds like a pretty fun place to go and an awesome time. So go check it out. Until next week, love y'all.